Hey everyone, this is BDevine, and welcome to this message today. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the angels, of course, the energy of what's coming up, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about the angel Cerviel. And this is one of the angels of courage, which obviously we all need right now. So what I am going to be doing is sort of talking with you a little bit about this angel Serbial. It's also an angel that helps you with your abilities. And hopefully this is going to help you as we progress forward, as the energies begin to ramp up. And I really hope all of you had a fantastic Christmas. And I really hope you can hear me right now because I'm a little bit further away than I normally am from my computer, but hopefully it's all good. All right, so tomorrow, 28th, of course, 4 p.m. I can't wait. You guys who are part of the Light Leadership team and going to be here for a big webinar tomorrow. So that'll be about 2 to 3 hours long. You're going to need to leave for yourself. And I'm going to explain my academy and also give you some tips and tricks to use in the meantime. And maybe you'll decide that you want to work with me in the future to learn absolutely everything that I know. And you'll get to figure that out, that it's actually quite a lot. It's quite a lot of deep energy in it. So as we push forward into this new energy and the end of the year is building up really quickly, all of a sudden we're going to be at the end of the year and the beginning of 2022. And I wanted you guys to think about your goals for 2022 because it is going to start off on the 2nd of January with a brand new moon. And that new moon is going to be a super new moon. And it's going to also be sitting in Capricorn. And Capricorn really likes to get a lot of things done, right? Really focused on moving forward and really resourceful, very determined, very abundant in many ways, and able to continue to grow and shine and move and do, and all of it's there. But the only thing that can happen with Capricorn is the overthinking, over worrying, and carrying everybody else's burdens, or in some ways not feeling good enough. So part of what you should be thinking about is perhaps making a list of the shadow self. So I'm just going to tell you about that real quickly because I just was going through my pictures today and going through, let me see. Yeah, I was going through all of my photos today. Let me see. Okay. Hopefully it'll be in here. So I was going through these photos today and resume, zoom updates. Okay, anyway, I will find it in another spot. But I was going through all my photos and I'm like, oh, wow, there's a great list for working with your shadow self. And anyway, some of the questions that you might want to ask yourself when you're sort of working on those parts of you that are still triggered, etc., is why do I feel the way that I do? How did I get to the place that I'm in now? Like, obviously you're different than what you were last year. You're different than what you were 10 years ago. What brought you to this particular place for yourself? What has changed inside of you emotionally? What still upsets you? Why does it upset you? Do certain people get to you? Do certain situations make you feel like you're going backwards again? The situation with myself was I had a lot of anxiety for many years. I used to, really be bad at stress eating, emotional eating as well, just sort of shutting myself off as well and pretending that I didn't have a problem. And at the same time, obviously having to go to work or, a lot of the times I was volunteering in places as well and still having to really wanting to do it and wanting to help people, of course, but feeling really stuck and really disabled with, having this constant, is it going to come up? Is someone going to ask me something that's embarrassing? Is someone going to be asking me all the questions that, and it constantly used to go around in my head, and it was a waste of time. I was generating a lot of this, defeat energy within myself, and this anxiety would build. So one of the questions you could ask yourself is what are some of the things that you're still working on, and why do you think you have the problem in the first place? It took me a long time to recognize that personal healing, things that I was going through and experiencing, were actually my own healing and awakening energy happening as well. Picking up the energy of the moon, the energy of other people, the energy of situations, everything, like empathically. And one thing that is really difficult for me as a person who's teaching and a person who's practicing with a lot of people, a lot of different people, is that there are those that are in the spiritual, let's just say spiritual practices, and they harp on you being empathic or you needing healing, and they harp on these things as it's okay, we're broken, and let's do it together. And when I consulted in with the angels, etc., and obviously just really trying to get my head around those sorts of comments, it's like that's teaching someone that you're defeated, so you might as well just hang out in this group. And I know that that's not what I want to be. When I first started learning lots of readings and things, I was 15 years old. I had hidden my deck of cards. I hid what I truly felt from family, my dad, certain people in my circles. I didn't want people to ridicule me. I didn't want people to think I was crazy, obviously, right? I didn't want people to tell me that I was into witchcraft, which I certainly don't want anything to do with it. However, part of your training will be on witchcraft and warlocks, etc., because you need to understand what might be sent in your direction and how to get rid of it if someone else is going through it as well. I've just seen too many people who are really good people, and they get into wickery, which is fantastic if you're into herbs, if you're into ritual, if you're into signs and omens and cards and things like that. But when it starts to become, turning it against somebody else, sending out really, really negative energy and cords and attacks and, all that sort of stuff, it's the power of it all starts to go to your head, and I've seen it so many times. So, to each their own what they want to do, but also leave us alone with what we want to do. So when I was beginning, there was no way that I wanted to go into witchcraft or anything like that. Everything was just about, let's see what the cards come, let's do the cards. Let's see. And I'd be getting all my friends like, come on, let's do your cards. And so much was learned in so many years, of how to do it and how we used to do it to how I do it now. So some of my friends that knew me from, being 16 years old, obviously the readings I was doing then was a lot different to what I do now. The situations were in then were dire, being very young and being a mother very, very young, and living with a really crazy guy, and thinking that this was what I was supposed to do because I've had children to this person. I'm supposed to stay here. You're living in these situations, and people tend to form opinions of what sort of person that you are. And that was another thing that I wanted to change in this whole spiritual spectrum, is the judgments and the you're an idiot for making mistakes. I mean, who hasn't? I mean, I think it's idiotic to say that you're perfect, and there's nothing that you ever do wrong. That's just silly. In all of this training that I have gone through and undergone, throughout my life, my biggest mission has been, hey, there's obviously people out there that are just like me, so let's find each other, and I can just help them to help themselves. Didn't know how I was going to do that. Thought it might have been through readings. and the way that the readings started to come through were much more about what is this person actually really saying to me? Because as we move into 2022, we must maintain courage, strength, protection, support, filtering our thoughts, grounding our energy, making sure that we're moving forward and that we're not feeling defeated. We're not giving up. We're not giving in. We're not playing out to drama. We're not taking anybody's BS and saying, oh, it's okay because that's just how they are. You know, they're just, it's like that can't push us anymore, because everything that takes you away from who you're supposed to be, believe me, all of those little things that, we just think that it's nothing, those are all the little things that add up. All those little things add up to draining out your vibrational energy, and you really need it. And you need to own it as well. I see so many people give in to their problems and give in to their healing. This is happening to me. Oh, wow. It's just not going to work. What you're doing is just not going to work. Because you're stripping someone back. You're saying, hey, what's been happening to you? How have you been feeling? Have you been picking something up? Are you protecting yourself? You're giving into this. You're getting yourself all stressed out. You're making it worse for yourself. They don't want to hear that. There'll be a handful of people that out of everyone who needs extra help all the time because they don't feel like anything's going to happen to them. And that's what you have to address first with a person. Each one of you who have ever worked with me in some capacity, there's been a time when you've had to go and put it all into practice yourself. And that's when people start to find that they don't feel confident, or they don't feel ready, or they don't feel strong enough, or they don't feel protected. And they start thinking about that because that is the pattern. So looking at yourself, being really honest with yourself. What have you changed up until this point? So you've gotten up to this point, you've been watching these videos, you're here, you're putting in the work. What has changed within you, right? What still triggers you or upsets you? Where do you want to be in 2022? Where do you want your future to be? Do you want to be someone who works for somebody else all the time, drains yourself out and doesn't get out of that cycle? Or are you going to be one of the light leaders that this world needs? And we don't need any more light workers, because that implies that you're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to keep working. That's why I changed the name of that. It's like with predictions, I've changed it to guidance. It's spiritual psychics. I'm a mystic. That's the truth of the matter. Metaphysical essences run through me. I did the meditation dynamics course a long time with Dr. Leon Masters. Long time ago, my friend and I had tapes, cassettes. That's okay. If that's going to tell you something, right? And it was just the way that the messages were given to us was like, oh, this is easy. Hey, try this. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God, it's really that simple. Like, it really is simple. Doing these little exercises for your third eye, doing this stuff for your connecting with your angels, to connect with your spiritual light team, to ground yourself, to connect, to protect, because you don't need to be a victim. This world is going to make you into a victim. All right. But in 2022, everything starts to shift, and it's going to for the better. It won't feel like it's for the better straight away. And I believe there's going to be a ramp up in reports and this problem and that problem, and you're going to have this and you're going to have that. My two sons, I've just found out, I talked to them both at Christmas, and I just found out they've had their jib jabs. And I'm like, ugh, I'm just like trying not to be like, why did you do that? Oh my God, and starting to panic. I'm just like, you know what? They did what they did. They're my sons, and all I can do is make sure that I do the best that I can to help them in any way that's needed, and to imagine that there's just this golden flashing energy, like healing energy, moving through their body, right? It's all I can do. And also, I have to remember that everybody has their own life journey, right? We all have our own life journey. This is what's the frustrating part is as a parent, because you take everything to heart for yourself, that you've done something wrong or whatever it is. When they're not with you, it's your fault. When they're upset, it's your fault. When you need money and you haven't got it, it's your fault. You've got to do more. But we forget that we're each on our own spiritual journey of truth, of finding our truth. When you feel comfortable in that, you've found your spot. I used to watch a lot of different things, on YouTube or whatever, and there are certain people that I just got an anxiety attack. Like I would just be feeling like annoyed or frustrated or whatever as soon as I would see them. I would just be like, oh, I want to watch this. And then I just get to the end of it and I'll be like, oh, it's so frustrating, watching this stuff. And so I also really recommend to all of you that if something or somebody makes you feel anxious in some way, or you find yourself, instead of being uplifted or inspired or, learn that you've learned something, if you find yourself like all of a sudden being drained, all of a sudden being in a bad mood, all of a sudden worried or fearful at all, or someone is using harsh language or something like that. I'm not saying you can't be swearing. I can swear like a sailor. So I get that. But when I'm in your presence, I'm not going to sit here. I think the only word I use is shit every now and then. Okay, but I'm not going to sit here and drop F-bombs every 5 minutes. And some people do that, and okay, that makes them happy. But what you're being asked to do is to focus on how you feel inside yourself after certain things have happened, like after you've listened to somebody, or maybe you've taken a course or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. How do you feel inside? Because that is going to be your monitor to everything that you do. It's like, how do I feel around this person? How do I feel in this situation? How do I feel? Have I let that go? Sometimes there's a thing that can come back and trigger. And for an example, this is just such a stupid thing, but this was an example. My husband, obviously, he's a drummer. Okay. So, and we actually had a lot of fun at Christmas playing together. I was playing the bass guitar and he was playing the drums, and it was really cool. We're going to put it up there for everyone to see. It's just, I'm in my pajamas and, that's that. But last year he was going to be doing a sort of an outdoor event at a friend's house, etc. And I suddenly started to get this anxiety that he was going to try to get me to come up on the stage. And I was really like, worried about it, that they were going to try to get me on the spot, because that's one thing that I just don't like, is if someone says, come on, get up there, you can go up there and sing, or go up there and, what are you doing? You're trying to push me into something, or go on, get in the water. Yeah, go on, and push you in or something. You know what I mean? So there was this thing where I was concerned that because they don't know me or whatever, and they know that I play the guitar, whatever, they're going to be like, oh, get her up here. And that they were going to just keep on pushing me until I felt like I was going to have to do it, right? So that it wasn't going to happen. But in my mind at that particular time, obviously my guard was down, or I was just overthinking, or whatever I was doing. I got myself into this state. And I remember shouting and saying, don't ask me up there. I don't want to get up there. And my husband's like, we're going to ask you to come up there. But it was like, whew. And so my reaction to being vulnerable, and my reaction to being scared or nervous or embarrassed or something, was to get really adamant and like strong about it. And you may find in your life that your anxieties or your stresses or your worries or your concerns are mirrored in other emotional outbursts. And the same thing happens when you've been triggered emotionally by some kind of narcissistic event, or an emotionally abusive person has gotten into your head, and you automatically react in sometimes in a surprising way, because you're expecting something to happen. You're expecting this person to be a jerk, or that's what you've had in the past and you weren't ready, so this time you're ready. And for many of you, past life events, you weren't ready for something to happen. So in this life, you are over ready. You are overcompensating for something to happen. Your adrenaline is up, and you're going, right? And these are the things, I know it's long-winded, but these are the things that you really need to look at for 2022, because each and every one of you, if you are honest with yourself and your journey, no one's at the top of the journey. No one's no one's at the top of their journey, or at the top of their game, really. We all have to work. As I'm moving into something new, I'm going to have to adjust everything that I do, because it's more like, it's not just a webinar sort of situation that's coming up here. This is a multitude of webinars, lessons, recordings and things like that, and quizzes that you're going to have to do so that you can understand. And then, after you've done the assignment, what's it called? After you've done semester 1, then you'll be able to pick and choose what you'll be learning next. You might want to learn everything. There's a price for that too. But you might just want to go for the first thing and then see what you feel, right? So we're going to be doing this kind of thing. Like, where do we all want to be? Do we want to just be, restricted still in 2022? Do we want to be able to go where we want? Do we want to be able to meet each other? Do we want to be able to have conferences again in beautiful hotels or whatever, where, wow, we're having a huge connection with each other as, divine tribe or whatever? Do we want to be able to move where we'd like to move to? Do we want to be able to continue? If I'm going to be able to continue, right, and do what I do, I have to make sure that the protection is through the roof. I have to make sure that I've created a vessel for myself where the negative can't get to me. The ones, what I mean by that is the ones that are trying to stop people like me from getting anybody to see me. My subscriber count has stopped completely. It's always the same number. Take a look yourself and go take a look back. It's always the same number. They got me to a number, which is pretty cool, because it's 40,400. So it's the 4s in there, but they left it at, that's it. No more. I'm not allowed to have any more subscribers. Why? Because they don't want people to not rely on pharmaceuticals. They don't want you to be strong and be courageous. They don't want you to heal. They stopped, way back in time, they stopped natural therapies from even being considered a therapy or considered medicine, when that's all we had was natural therapies. That was medicine. And then they started putting petroleum in everything and started to make natural remedies as something kooky or wacky. And that petroleum-based medicine was everywhere, and it was cheaply made, and it was on shelves, and people just started to live like that. So that was like the Rockefeller energy, right? Changing it, right? There's a lot of stuff in there that we've been made to feel like there's something wrong with us, okay, for the way that we do stuff. And other people just tend to get away with whatever it is that they're saying, and sweeping things under the carpet, and creating situations in our life that make it harder and harder and harder to be us. Okay, so hopefully by having this academy, and by being there a lot and doing a lot there, and keep on teaching you guys, you're going to keep the old ways moving. You're going to help people to heal that are going to need it, because We all know, that this is unnecessary what's been going on. To whatever degree you want to call it, it's been really, really hard for people who just want their freedom, who just want to be able to say no to something, and they can't, because it's not the right thing to choose. It's not the right thing that they're allowing you to choose, right? So they're allowing you to choose your gender, your pronouns, whether you're going to have surgery or not as a young kid, whether you want to have an abortion or not. You're allowed to choose those things, but we can't choose not to have a jab if we don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to have that. I want to see what happens, And by also, I haven't had a vaccine since I was a kid, like a baby. So I don't want anything like that in my system. And that's my choice. It should be, and it should be that way for everybody. And I believe that 2022, if we can stand up and be courageous, not only that, but if we start seeing bits and pieces falling apart, which we are already, and even more to come by the end of the month, then that's going to spur us into action. Okay, and we are going to be able to stand strong in the face of everybody else's BS and believe in what we believe in. And we should be allowed to. It's actually, your belief structure is actually also, part of human rights, and also part of the Bill of Rights for those of you that live in the United States. We're supposed to have freedom of our religion, spirituality, and we shouldn't be forced into changing that. And how many churches were shut down in 2020? It was ridiculous. Anyway, so we're going to need courage. And I want to talk about the angel Cerviel, because this is going on Rumble as well. I'm just going to push out my videos wherever I can. And I just imagine that I have the pyramid of light all around it so that it doesn't get taken down or whatever. I mean, they're going to have to work really hard to do that because I haven't broken any rules. So this is by Kay Maroney. As you know by now, you should know by now, Kay Maroney. So I'm going to talk about Cerviel. I'm going to read this to you and then I will do some commentary on it, okay? So courage, Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "It is in rugged crisis, in unweariable endurance, and in aims which put sympathy out of the question, that the angel is shown." Okay? In a rugged crisis, in unweariable endurance, and in aims which put sympathy out of the question, that the angel is shown. Okay? This is the only way that I am here talking to you guys, was because of the angels. Because I was in such a crisis in my life and in such dire straits and so desperate for something to change that I started to read more and more and more about angels, the dictionary of angels. Read books on Sylvia Browne, even though some of the things she did were pretty dodgy. But, some of her books were out there about mediumship, all this stuff. And something continued to push me throughout my whole life. I've come to realize it's obviously the angels and the angelic realms, and it's called angelic guidance, which is why I wrote that book. There's always, they are there. I am telling you, they are there. Okay, so anyway, we'll keep on reading. Cerviel, the angel of strength, was with Daniel in the lion's den. And the quote is, "My God hath sent his angel and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me." And this is Daniel 6:22. Your crisis may not be a life and death situation like Daniel's, but it usually feels that way. Look at all this BS, okay? Crisis results when you're unwilling to change toward the natural flow of growth. I'll read that again. Crisis results when you are unwilling to change toward the natural flow of growth. When you're resisting your healing pattern and growing and, your spiritual path, you will suffer. You will feel that way every single day, that, nothing's because you're resisting what will actually work, because it means that you might have to actually really examine yourself. And most people don't want to do that. Okay. When change is obstructed by old patterns based on false conclusions, and you do not have the inner strength to let go of them voluntarily, crisis comes to your aid. We get ourselves into rock bottom, into the most stressful situations. We get ourselves into believing we are alone, that no one gets what we're going through, that it's not the same as somebody else, that there could be no possible way that someone would understand what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're going through, because you're you and you've been through all this other stuff that you don't even talk about, and no one is going to get it, not even the angels. In fact, that's probably why you're in the position you're in, because you've done I don't know what in past lives, in this life, whatever you reckon, right? Whatever you think that you've done, you feel like this is continuing for you, and that's why you're in the position that you're in. What a load of BS. Okay? It's not true. It's a trick of the mind. And that comes from a sense of, it must be me, I'm to blame, something's always wrong with me, and now look, it's reflected in everything I do. Now my body's even giving up on me, right? So the intensity of a crisis is directly proportionate to your obstruction. Resisting the change that's trying to take place increases your suffering. Expand your awareness to the smallest events in your life, seeking their deeper meaning. You will be amazed at how much you have ignored in the past. That's why I'm talking about making sure you write a list. How have you gotten to this point? Can you believe how much you've actually done? A lot more than you're giving yourself credit for. When you write it out, you will see. What don't you want to see? What are you not willing to change about yourself? Do you think that you need to, in order to open up your abilities, that you need to be basically a nun and never partying, or never doing anything wrong, or never wearing the wrong clothing, or never doing anything other than dedicating yourself, because that comes from a past life too, where you would have dedicated yourself to religion. You could have been a monk, you could have been a hermit, whatever, and dedicated yourself to being that way. If you face issues when they are small and take the necessary action, crisis will not be necessary. You won't have to see it. It's like when everything is going wrong, I always say to myself, okay, go and sit down for 5 minutes, do a clearing, make sure you're really disconnected from anyone or anything, because one thing after another is also a sign of a negative vibration near you or trying to trip you up, just waiting for you to go into that, oh, well, that only happens to some people kind of energy, right? Waiting for you to fall into that trap of darkness where they can just be really happy telling you all that nonsense, right? So resistance to change can have several sources. The fear of change, okay? Also a fear of actually being out of your situation. Some people have that. I did. I'm like, well, what am I going to do when I'm out of this? Wow, you mean I can actually think about my life, myself, my own self, right? The fear of change, or the fear of having your life fall apart, can cause you to resist doing the very thing that would avoid the crisis. Even deeper, your resistance may be an attempt to avoid the frustration and disappointment of wanting something that you cannot have, or a feeling of helplessness and the desire for someone else to do it for you. Each of these variations are based on the misconception that you are the one who must accomplish this inner transformation, while the knowledge that you cannot leaves you with a feeling of hopelessness. So I used to always believe, why are other people able to do this and not me? Why can other people be healers and not me? Why can other people talk to the angels and not me? I just want to talk to my brother who's passed away. Why can't I do it? When I was doing it all the time. I just didn't realize that that's what it was. I thought it had to be some, convoluted big thing that was happening in my life, where I would see something walk past me and that, but that would freak me out, right? And the fact that you give up on yourself before you've even started will also show you where you really need to forgive yourself and really let go and disconnect from so many people who have been wrong in your life and have been there to highlight all of those things that you feel, are missing about you. They highlight those things by being jerks or whatever, right? So there is a misconception that you are the one who must accomplish. You've got to even heal yourself. You've got to get better. You've got to be the best. You've got to be the best parent. You've got to be the best child. You've got to be the best teacher. You've got to be the best everything. And it's still not good enough. So what's the point? The point is that it's not a competition. Your healing, your training, your knowledge, your teaching, it's not a competition with anybody but yourself. And so that's where that needs to leave, right? So it says surrender. When you are resisting change, you're saying no to the flow of life. Say yes, let go, and make room for the magic to begin. Transformation is designed to expose choices and behaviors that are not really you. Ask the angel Cerviel to give you the courage to walk away from what is not you and find what is you. See your life through the eyes of love and forgiveness as you evaluate the choices that you have made. Simply choose to change and find the life that is based on truth and love without guilt or shame. Look deeply inward where all answers are just waiting to be heard. Surrender the belief that you are a separate being, alone and in darkness. In truth, you are united with God in wisdom and light. Allow yourself to feel loved and cared for. As you listen for the inner voice of wisdom guiding your decisions, feel Cerviel's presence as you open to receive his blessing of courage and strength. Choose the path that brings you more love, peace, and unity in life. Because there are plenty of people, as we know, in life that will tell you exactly how bad you are, exactly how wrong you are, exactly how stupid you are, make you feel ugly, make you feel useless. And if we're not in that place of, happiness within ourselves, we just take that all on and go, yeah, I know it's an uphill battle. There are people that, have been going through a lot, let's just say, in their life. And where they've ended up in their life has been obviously not something ideal. But they get older and stay where it's comfortable. And that is in a place of, oh my God, well, of course this happened to me because everything happens to me. I might as well just stay where I am. Here, I'm in the wrong situation in my life. I might as well just stay there. I've put in this much time. You might as well just stay and just, push through it, and then you can be free. And there are other people who are like, no, this is what I believe, and this is what I'm doing, and this is, where I'm going in my life, and I feel happy in every stage of it, and that's awesome. Speaking with my dad in the last, My dad was very religious. Okay, he became a Catholic after being, I don't know, 70 years or something Christian Baptist. And then he became a Catholic. And anyway, we were talking about different things and stuff over the years, and bits and pieces of information came forward. And I said to him, I believe that God is within us. I believe that each of us are a part of him. I believe that there is nothing but unconditional love coming from that energy. And I don't believe in punishment. I believe people give enough punishment. I believe we give enough punishment to ourselves. And I don't feel like God is standing there saying, oh, 1989 was a bad year for you. That's it, you've done it, I don't think there's anyone there like, James or whatever, Peter, marking the book or anything like that. It's a transition that you go through. It's an understanding that you have. And there are some people who energetically resist that transition when it's time to pass over, and they find themselves in confusion, and they find themselves lost at times or discordant or whatever. Right? But other than that, and if that's the worst it can get, then that's the worst it can get. Probably Earth is the hardest place to be, because everywhere else has already been through this and gotten past it, right? So I believe in this all-loving God, and unfortunately my father believed in an all-angry, all-seeing God that was weighing up all of the things that you've done right and weighing them up to everything that you've done wrong, and whichever one was heavier was the winner, and I would tell my dad, you live your life really concerned and worried all the time, Dad. Like, you're not happy in whatever your beliefs are. Otherwise, you'd just be feeling happy and confident and calm. I said, but you're actually wringing your hands with worry and concern. God's not like that, I'd say to my dad. He loves you. He made you. He wants the best for you. He wants you to be happy, right? And my dad's response was, well, just because you believe that, Becky, doesn't mean it's true. I'd be like, well, isn't that what you're doing? Because you believe that, and I'm saying it's not true. Just because you believe that, Dad, doesn't mean it's true. It's like it's saying exactly the same thing. And I'm just like, you know what? There are some people that you're never going to get to understand your position. My position is not about trying to convert anybody. If there are haters that want to come out and call me a witch or call me evil or that I'm going to hell, let them waste their energy. Let them put the thumbs down because they're still subscribed, and they put a little thumbs down as soon as they get the notification to go, ha ha ha. I'm like, you are wasting your energy, right? I don't argue with anybody. If people want to put a nasty thing, that's your wasted energy, and you're deleted as well. So you'll never be able to find me again. So woohoo to you, congratulations. When I do TikTok and I do the thing on there, they come strolling through, right? So you get, this is the devil's work. You're going to hell, and all that sort of stuff. And, I thought about a response. I was like doing the readings and I'm like, I'm just going to ignore it because I always do. And I thought, well, the response is, no, the devil's work is actually attacking others who are actually doing loving work, and you feel threatened by that. So that's the devil's work, not trying to help other people. But then again, don't want to even waste my time. I don't need to waste my time explaining myself to anybody, right? And neither do you. You don't have to justify your beliefs. You don't have to justify where you stand, standing up and going, I'm against this. Ooh, I hate this. That's not going to change it, right? Educating other people, that will change it, because when we get a movement together, things happen. When you guys are all listening and being positive and being, strong in yourself and having courage to move forward and lifting your vibration and feeling good about yourself, and you're all doing it together because you're listening to a video and someone understands you, and you finally are like, oh my God, here it is. This person understands me. I feel safe. That creates an energy on this planet that is beneficial to her, rather than griping and moaning and whining and, oh, this sucks, and oh, I need to be here before I do this, I need to be over here before I can do that, or I can't manifest that, so I can't do it, so once again I'm stuck. That kind of talk, it's not going to get you, benefit you in any way. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you out of your situation. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to make you healthy. It's not going to bring you into this high vibration. I mean, there are people that are my husband's age and my age, and they are really in a bad way. And I just don't think that we should be. I think if our mindset is still, if I was still thinking the way that I used to think when I was much younger and in that stress all the time, I can't see myself getting to this age and being healthy at all, not having any issues. As soon as you have an issue, you kind of work out what it is, or where you've been, overdoing it or not protecting yourself or overthinking or whatever. You can pick it up straight away. Whereas years and years ago, I would think all night how I could solve it instead of delegating it all to the angels, my guides, my loved ones, even if I didn't know who the heck they were. It was like, who's actually guiding me? Who is my spirit guide? And now I know one of the main ones is Jesus. And my dad used to just scoff. Oh, what would Jesus be working with you for? Well, because he's all about love and support and understanding. Wasn't he persecuted like hell? Wasn't he always picked on? Wasn't he crucified on the cross because of other people who are jerks and people who said something about him that wasn't true? And it just generated this whole hate campaign of Chinese whispers. That's what we get now. I feel really understood by Jesus. He knows what it's like to be persecuted. He knows what it's like to be a vessel of light and trying to help people to heal themselves and still get thrown underneath the dirt all the time as the last person in line, the last person that you go to, the last energy that you might talk to. Why? Because it's not the right price, or she doesn't have the right look, or she doesn't look professional, or she's not all white clad and she's not all oming for 20 hours or whatever the hell it is. People, oh, she doesn't really know what she's talking about. I'm going to go spend money over here. Oh God, that wasn't what I thought. Okay, I'm going to come back. It's just ridiculous, right? Don't justify yourself. The proof is in how you are. The proof of your life and the blessings of God running through your life is in your health, in your happiness, in your well-being, and your drive and determination to move forward. Because when you are denying yourself all that you can be, you are giving into hopelessness because part of you likes being a victim. And if that's not true, then you really need to kick this out of your life, because there's no room for, what's the word? It's like there's no room for people who are trying to share with other people to be victims or in the poor me mentality, because then you haven't done it. You haven't done the work, And this is the great thing about finally in my life, going to be able to have an academy to share with you everything that I can think of that may be helpful in your journey. And there's so many things that you might have not even thought of that will help you to become the best that you can be. Even if you're not working with anybody else, it's just going to help you in your life, for your life to change, to be where you want it to be, not struggling all the time. And sharing this with others and being in a group of support, because you will grow a lot in a supportive environment, of course. And of course, we grow a lot when we're going through rubbish as well. Okay, but I think we've had enough rubbish. The real thing that keeps coming to me as part of my guidance and just part of what's happening is that we must, more than ever, focus on where we're going, not where we've been, not, not what others are doing, not what others are thinking, not what others are saying. Just focus on where you're going for a second. And if you never had an issue with money, with health, with anybody in your life, let's say everything was absolutely perfect, what would you be doing? That is an amazing question. What would you do? I already know what I would do. If I had all of the abundance and everything in place, and I'm already working towards it, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's just not far away. I would have my parcel of land, maybe more than one, and wellness centers with teachers like you who have learned the correct methods and are there helping those that are going to be coming. And wellness centers instead of hospitals. Going back to basics. Helping these children stop being so distracted, because that's what all this technology was for, was to stop these children from being who they really are, which are leaders. Okay, they are born with more abilities than all of us. And they're here to change this vibration, but they're not doing it because they're distracted. They feel less than good enough. They feel more social phobic than we've ever been in our lives. And this sense of helplessness sits. And my son said to me the other day, the more someone tells me how to get out of it, the more pressure I feel to stay in it. I get dug deeper into the energy. Now, that's just his way of doing things. But at the same time, if someone's showing you a way out of something and you're determined to stay in it, whatever you're most determined to do will be what happens, right? And that's up to him to figure out, in his own way. But what we're here to do is to show others a different way of life, a fun, accepting, loving way of being, where we can manifest what we want by thinking about it and declaring it, no problem. That we can manifest changes on this planet by thinking about it and declaring it, letting it go. You guys should all be opening up the portals of the earth as well as the universe. Ask for them to open. And when you do so and you're all doing it and you're all focusing on it, the Schumann resonance goes nuts and the energy spikes happen, which, is because we're vibrating on a different level. But we go, oh God, I'm feeling ascension symptoms. Oh, I need something, instead of going, oh, that's what that is. Okay, well, it can just easily just move through me now. Okay, I'm upgrading. That's awesome. That's why I make videos even when I'm sniffling and that, because I'm like, well, it's not, I'm not sick. It's just a symptom of release or change or upgrades or vibration or expansion or light or next part of the journey, or it's all positive. Whatever's happening to me is what I'm trying to get at. All right. So the energy of Servial, surrendering into who you really are. Have a look at how far you've come. I go back over my old writings sometimes and I'm like, oh, I was there. That's where I was. You're trying to lose the energetic weight, or, not listening to the messages that were coming in and still just questioning certain things. So I hope to see you guys tomorrow. And thank you if you guys have been in the chat right now. These are premieres, so obviously I don't see your chat until I'm there talking with you. So I do these like this because I don't get distracted in that way. I come live with you every now and then, but most of my work is going to be like this because it's just to say hi to everybody. And then people come in and you say hi. And then someone says, yeah, this is happening and this is happening. And it's like, it's very distracting. And I don't want to turn the comments off, right? I want you guys to be able to talk. But just for me personally, I'm just going to be doing videos like this. Now, you'll be live with me when we're doing the course at the academy. Okay, so each week there'll be a lesson for you, and each week there'll be like a Q&A time with me, so you can ask me all the questions you have about whatever it is we've been learning. So I really hope to see some of you guys joining this academy. And, you know, I'm going to make it worth your while, of course. That's just who I am, right? There's no, you know, I just give more than what I should, but it's just how it is, all right, as well. The angel Serbial, if you need courage to step into a new direction, you don't know how you're going to do it, you don't know how you're going to afford things, you don't know, you're doing the whole, oh, I better come or else. If you're doing that whole thing, you need to stop, say everything's taken care of. I am absolutely supported. There will be a way forward. There'll be an answer. There'll be a way around everything. I just need to let go of all the details. That's all I need to do. And everything will start flowing into my life. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go and make myself a dinner with some salad and sit in the chat. Hopefully it'll all be the right timing where this will go up and I'll be able to sit there. I am sending lots of love. I will see some of you tomorrow for Light Leaders webinar. The link will be in the, I'll put the link down below, okay? So you can get your ticket if you haven't got one. And just really enjoy the messages that are going to be coming through tomorrow and see if this is something that you want to do for your life, okay? It is a life. It is a lifestyle, that's for sure. All right, everyone. Thanks for your love. I hope you enjoyed Serbial. More coming soon. And lots of love. Bye for now.